Now, buying a dashcam should be simple. But if you've ever searched, for one in Amazon, you know that that's definitely not the case. There are hundreds of options out there. They show you different resolutions, different camera configurations, different prices as well, and somehow every single one claims to have the best image quality, the best night vision, and the best features. So if I were shopping for a dashcam today, where would I start? Let's jump onto Amazon. Right away, you'll see multiple models appear. As I scroll through listings, you'll notice everything from basic single camera setups to more advanced systems. Some focus on image quality, some focus on connectivity, some focus on parking protection, but one model immediately stood out to me, the Vantrue N4S. Now, looking through the product page, a few things caught my attention. The first one is it records 3 different ways, 3 different camera views simultaneously. Second, all 3 cameras support HDR. And third, Vantrue claims that this has one of their best night vision systems yet. Those are big claims though, right? So I decided to find out myself. Fast forward for a few days later, the camera arrived and I installed it in my vehicle, and I've spent the last few weeks testing it. So today, let's find out if the Vantrue N4S is actually worth buying. Inside the box, you'll find the main camera unit, the rear camera unit, power cables, mounting hardware, and everything you need to get started. The first thing I noticed is build quality. The camera feels solid, the buttons have nice tactile click, and the display is bright, and everything feels like it's built to last. Now, this isn't one of those products that feels cheap the moment you take it out of the box. It immediately gives off a premium impression. And once I saw the hardware in person, I was even more curious to see how it would perform on the road. Now, installation was surprisingly straightforward. The front camera mounts near the rear view mirror. The wiring can be tucked cleanly behind your trim panels, and the rear camera installs at the back of the vehicle. One thing worth mentioning is that the rear camera is designed to be mounted outside the vehicle, but I installed it inside for this review. Once everything was connected, setup only took a few minutes. The menus are easy to navigate, the interface is straightforward, and I was recording footage almost immediately. I always appreciate products that don't require an hour-long setup process before you can actually use them. This was definitely one of those products. Now let's talk about what makes the N4S different from many dashcams currently available. And honestly, it comes down to one thing: coverage. Most dashcams record one view. Some maybe record 2, like the front and then the rear. The N4S records 3. You get 2.7K front camera, 1440p rear camera, and the cool one is the 1440p interior camera. All recording simultaneously. All supports HDR as well, and that means you're not just recording what's happening ahead of you, you're also recording what's happening behind you and inside your vehicle. For rideshare drivers, delivery drivers, families, or anyone wanting maximum protection, that's a huge advantage. Because when something happens, having multiple perspectives can make all the difference. Instead of guessing what happened, you can actually see it from multiple angles. And honestly, once you get used to having 3 views, it's hard to go back. Of course, none of that matters if the footage doesn't look good. So let's talk about the image quality, starting with daytime performance. Now, the first thing I noticed was how clean the footage looked. Road signs are easy to read, license plates remain visible, street names are legible, and colors look natural without appearing overly saturated. But here's the thing, okay? Most dashcams look pretty good when you're watching them normally. The real test happens when you zoom in. So throughout this review, I've been zooming into the footage by several 100%, 300, 400%, even 500% in some situations. And this is where things get interesting. When you zoom into the road signs, vehicle details, and license plates, the N4S does a great job maintaining detail. The image doesn't immediately become blurry mess. Text remains readable and important details stay visible. That's exactly what you want from a dashcam. Because the purpose of a dashcam isn't to create cinematic footage, okay? The purpose is capturing evidence. And during the daytime, the N4S performs very well. Now let's move into what I think is the most important test, night driving. Because this is where average dash cams usually start to struggle. You've got headlights, street lights, dark roads, reflections, motion, and a lot of cameras simply can't keep up. The N4S uses the Sony STARVIS 2 sensors, HDR recording, PlatePix license plate enhancement technology, and infrared LEDs for the interior camera. And after spending time driving it at night, I can definitely see where those technologies are helping. Look at the footage here. Notice how the license plates remain visible. Notice how bright headlights don't completely destroy the image. Notice how darker areas still contain usable information. Now, let's zoom in. Look at the plates here. Look at the road sign. Look at the edges of vehicles. There's still plenty of detail being retained. And that's exactly what I want from a dashcam. Because accidents don't only happen during the day. They happen at night. And if your camera can't capture useful footage in low light conditions, none of the other features even matter. For me, this is one of the strongest aspects of the N4S. Now, another feature that deserves its own section is the interior camera. This isn't just a small bonus feature, okay? It's a fully functional 1440p camera with infrared support. The infrared system works surprisingly well here. Even when the cabin is dark, the camera is still able to capture what's happening inside the vehicle. For ride-share drivers, this could be one of the most valuable features on the entire camera. But even for regular drivers, having additional evidence can provide peace of mind. If something happens inside the vehicle, you'll have footage to review later on. In today's world, that's becoming increasingly important. Now let's talk about what happens when you're not driving. Because some of the most frustrating incidents happen when your car is parked. Someone bumps your vehicle, a shopping cart rolls into it, hit and run happens while you're away. This is where the parking mode becomes incredibly important. The Vantrue N4S includes advanced parking protection with buffered recording. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. First, I walked into the vehicle and then I lightly tapped the vehicle to simulate an impact. Immediately afterwards, the dashcam began recording. What's especially useful is that buffered recording allows the camera to capture footage from before and after the event. That means you're not only seeing the impact itself, you're also seeing what happened leading up to it. And that extra context can be incredibly valuable if you're trying to determine exactly what happened. Next, let's talk about the app, because nobody wants to pull out a memory card every time they need footage, right? The Vantrue app allows you to connect directly to the camera. Here you can review footage, you can adjust settings, you can manage the files as well, and update the firmware. Now, one thing I noticed right away is how quickly footage transfers. The N4S uses the 5.8 GHz Wi-Fi, which makes downloading clips significantly faster than many older dashcams. And if you've ever waited forever for a video transfer to finish, you'll appreciate that improvement. The app itself is clean, easy to understand, and everything worked exactly the way I expected it. Now, one feature I didn't expect to use as often as I did is voice control. The N4S supports several voice commands that let you interact with the camera while keeping your hands on the wheel. Take a photo. Show rear camera. Turn off screen. Turn on screen. These may seem like simple features, sure, but when you're driving, being able to trigger functions without touching the camera is actually really convenient. And more importantly, it's safer. After spending time with the last few weeks testing the Vantrue N4S, there are 4 things that stand out the most. First, the 3-channel HDR recording. Second is the night vision performance. Third is the fast app connectivity. And fourth, the advanced parking mode features. Together, those features create a dashcam that feels extremely complete. No product is perfect, sure, but if you're looking for a dashcam that captures the front, rear, and interior of your vehicle while delivering strong image quality during both day and night driving, the Vantrue N4S is definitely worth considering. For me, the biggest selling point is still the 3-channel setup, because when something happens, more camera angles mean more evidence. And that's exactly why most people buy a dashcam in the first place. So if you're interested in checking out the Vantrue N4S, I'll have the links in the description below, so go ahead and check that out. And if you're watching this around Prime Day, Vantrue is participating in the Prime Day sale with tons of discounts. So if you've been thinking about adding a dashcam to your vehicle, this could be a great opportunity to pick one up at a discount. Now let me know in the comments below if you have any questions at all. Make sure to subscribe to my channel to see more dashcams later on. Hit the like button as well, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!